This little video is just some random bits that I've put together, so I hope you enjoy, and we're going to look at quite a few different topics and hopefully make some sense of them. Welcome. And here we are in Toledo, Ohio. The memorial mural at Summit Street in Toledo has come down. Witnesses report a lightning strike, but questioned whether this was the direct cause of the collapse. And in my last video, we looked at this glass fire, and we were specifically looking at a modern castle that was within this zone, just seeming to target specific sites. And some people say, well, fire is not going to burn a tree because the tree is wet, it has water in it. I've been burning since I was a child and still burn all throughout the winter for heat. In fact, the moisture seems to complement the fire when you get to a certain temperature. And in my last video I said fire does not burn castles, and I meant that. Fire does burn vegetation, normal forest fires, and does not burn metals and brick. This is not a normal fire. This is a directed energy, and I think this is what may have been meant by Greek fire in old stories. They telling us it was of course something much more primitive, but I think the concentration of energy and the ability to direct it is what we're seeing being used in modern times in this glass fire, and it is what we're seeing being employed and directed at this George Floyd memorial. But here, a little more truth being offered up. Here we were told it was a lightning strike, a little closer to a directed, focused energy discharge, but still blaming it on nature. And in my opinion, this is anything but natural. And let's have a little look. And here we go. His bust would have been right in the center here. And again, does this look like any normal fire? It hasn't even burnt the roof, yet it took out this whole facade of brick. And this is why I said all roads lead to Tartaria. Look at what this has revealed for us. Truth in plain sight. This is what our realm consists of. Old buildings, well over 500 years old, that have been refacaded with new brick, as we see here. And one may think, by the look of this brick, that it was constructed in the last 150 years. Again, looking like the ruins of Pompeii, or any sites in the realm that would be officially called ruins. And I can only share my thoughts with you. I don't believe this is a lightning strike, and this mystery is anomalous in its own right. Did somebody have plans for this region? Or was somebody possibly dropping our community a not-so-subtle tip? I wonder what the layman would think about this. Somebody who does no research beyond the things that they are taught or told. This original building resembling the remains of a medieval castle, or again anything over 500 years old. This is the Colonel Woods Museum in Chicago after a fire. And I looked at a smaller version of this picture for a while. It was a little more blurry, and I thought I was looking at images of Monument Valley in Arizona. And when I blew it up this size, I could see a little more clearly. This is a pretty ridiculous photo. Why are there two signs? Perhaps the property owner wanted everybody to be sure to know who owned this ground. And this theater, in which we can see before the fire, is clearly just an inherited building. And today I want to focus on something close to home. This is a museum, and we have so many museums that are absolutely simply repurposed structures, such as the Please Touch Museum in Philly, one of my favorites. The structure itself is more fascinating than anything housed inside. And here we have the Wilford Wood Museum. And here we're looking at it on Google Maps, as there are very few pictures available online. And go ahead and do a search for the Wilford Wood Museum, and you'll come up with very little. This is located in North Salt Lake, which is not Salt Lake City. It's actually a little town called Bountiful on the other side of the northern mountain range. In fact, this road is called Orchard Street. Probably 15 years ago, I looked at a house to purchase on this very street, and I hope to get a tour of this place. I originally saw a photo of it on Facebook, and nothing pertaining to alternative research. It was just my local feed, and two anomalies popped up, and I was immediately blown away. For a moment, I thought I was reading some Tartarian group post, and quickly realized that this was just a local feed. And eventually I did find this website for this Wilford Wood Museum, as seen here, and not a single picture. As we can see here, 1893 to 1968, Wilford C. Wood. And I just want to show you real quick. Here's the home page, here's About Us, here's Make a Reservation for a Tour, here is Wilford Wood, and then we have a contact page, and no information whatsoever about this building, which is my point of this video. What is the story with this old world building? Looking more like the base of a lighthouse than a museum. And what do they have to say about all this? Perhaps best known for his purchase of several church history sites and artifacts, Wilford Wood owned such items such as the original uncut sheets of the 1830s edition of the Book of Mormon. He also owned the original temple site in Nauvoo, Illinois, a jail in Liberty, Missouri, and some store in Ohio. Wood began purchasing important church history sites after returning from his mission to the northern states in 1918. So he's not even 30, back from a mission, and he just starts purchasing real estate. And not just any real estate, but church historic sites. First of all, they're not even historic at this point. And why is the church abandoning real estate so early in their history? Is the question even more ridiculous than why is somebody buying it? At this time there was little interest in preserving such areas, but his admiration for the prophet Joseph Smith led him to purchase many of these sites with his own funds. Wood later sold most of these sites back to the church and set up the Wilford Wood Museum in Bountiful, Utah, to allow the saints to view the items he collected. So, if we're to believe this story, truly a shisty character, buying these sites in the name of preservation, only to sell them back to the church, and obviously keep a handful of the collection for his own private museum in Bountiful that nobody has ever heard of. He also owned an original edition of the Book of Commandments, several photos, and eventually dying at the age of 74. So there we go. Like I said, no picture of this building, and perhaps there's something interesting in this museum, but frankly, I would rather look at the building. I would rather know everything about this building. And here it is from above. Very, very, very unusual. Not looking like a museum at all. Where are you supposed to park? And I think this whole site will have more to reveal upon further examination. The first thing that I notice is that this road has been mud flooded, and perhaps in recent times I do remember that there was mass flooding of this mountain. And here are the two pictures I saw posted on Facebook. And she was very excited and said, how come I've never heard of this before? And other people began commenting, saying the same thing. And finally one comment said, oh, that's the Woodford Wood Museum. Pretty mind-blowing. And I look forward to talking to somebody here in a minute. A very interesting comment by Odin will reign again. And here he's answered the questions that I asked in that little musical video that I made, and I thought I'd just read it real quick. It had a very interesting conclusion, and I'd like to hear what you guys think. So, it's pretty much a question and answer format. What are they hiding from us? He says many truths. What is the old world? There were many old worlds, but the ones from the pictures is Tartaria. Where do we come from? From us, your creators. Who built all this? You. Why spend so much money to tear these buildings down? Those buildings are older than you think. The elite realized that building structures that last forever are not good for profit. A repurposed, inherited world. You got this from the humans we have created, the pure blood, and not from the humans created in laboratories by the pure blood. We are not the first, and will not be the last. You could be the last. It will depend on the outcome of the war that is coming. The war between us, your creators, and our enemies, the Titans. This is like some sort of game. No, this is a war. Cities under our feet. The controllers know what's going on. Yes, they do. The finest structures in the realm, all built with horse and buggy. Everybody knows it's a lie, but what everybody does not know is that the elite still have the old tech, and also the knowledge and power to make even greater structures than those from the old world. This place gets reset, and they rewrite the rules, and the history and people go on oblivious to the past. Correct. What is this place? Sirius B, from the endless space time world. And before you judge this part, he adds a little more. A world's fair, the finest? Do you need 100 acres of land to amuse yourself? The elite do not have much land, but we, your creators, do have many lands. We too have our own creators, or gods. Those that made us have only 3 fingers and play with marbles. These are the many endless space time worlds. Mud floods, orphans, false narratives. Who are these people? You know them. Descendants of kings, dukes, etc., who are at the service of our enemies, the Titans. Who created them? The machines. Anomalies. The Titans are half organic, half machine cyborgs. The buildings that appear in old pictures perfectly cut in diagonal were cut by the Titans. They used laser swords, and not like a ray like most people think. Repurposed into indoctrination camps. The objective is to turn you all into cyborgs, soulless, so they can fully control you. Are we a genetically engineered race? Yes, we made you by combining our DNA with monkeys' DNA. How many races have come before us? The humans have always been the same. The only problem is their DNA has been hijacked by the enemies, the Titans. So now you are weaker and live less. Why are they hiding all this? To totally control you. Can we survive the next reset? Yes, but many will not. Are we free? No, but you can be. We just need to find the right people to play a few roles in the war that's about to come much sooner than you think. If we cannot find a trusted human, we will simply erase you, and the Titans as well. Who controls us? Where do they live? The Titans control you. They live in that which is called the dark side of the moon, and this simply could be another crater. Is there more land unknown to us? Yes. Endless space-time world. Mount Meru and Antarctica? Mount Meru exists in Greenland, and beyond Antarctica is space-time world. The exit is underwater. Are we in a prison, a cage? And who is the warden? You are imprisoned by the Titans in Sirius B, the place we created for you to be the paradise. They are our enemies. They are the enemies of all other races that exist in this endless space-time world. If you could manage to go beyond Antarctica, you would see them, the Titans, fully armed. They have big guns, kept oblivious of the true nature of our reality. Yes, so oblivious and ignorant that since it is a common person who is giving you the message from our creators, the Anunnaki, the Asir, the Olympian gods, the Egyptian gods. So very interesting, really, pointing to the Titans as our enemies. And again, we do see massive structures throughout our realm from times of old. We ask, where did they go? And here are some answers. I'm not saying any of this is correct, but I found it very interesting. If the moon is a reflection of our realm, there could simply be craters next to ours. And very interesting that when we hear of the last great War of the Realm, the Germans were taking submarines underneath Antarctica, and I had recently seen a lot of different things that lent to the idea that the way out could both be up and over the wall or under it. Just a little snippet I thought I would share. Just popped open my YouTube, and Lindsay Waco tells us, the key to the Mormon adage is Proverbs 3, and that would have been in reference to this video I called Ancient Tartarian Wisdom. And she's talking about the part in which I was explaining the passages that the Mormon missionaries explained to me after I invited them in. The passage, as I was told, was by Jesus, and he said, keep thy navel strong and the marrow clean. And such unusual requests. Yet I had heard these teachings in old Taoist texts, and the Taoist text explained exactly how to do this. It was a 100-day process. And here Lindsay shares with us the true origins of these words, long before the Mormons. And of course, everything is borrowed from the past. And let's just have a little look at Proverbs chapter 3. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about the neck, write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. And I love it all. And though I am not part of any particular religion, I love the best parts of them all. And this is one example. And so, in short, following these prescriptions shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. And still, without the Taoist texts, this means nothing. And what does it mean? It means the navel is your battery. All the tightly wound small intestines with water flowing through them like little rivers, conducting a charge. This is your core and your energy. And the marrow is where the blood cells are made. It's where the regeneration takes place. And with a healthy navel or energy or battery flowing through the bones, in the marrow, one can live, according to the Taoist texts, a very long time, at least 300 years. I have no doubt even longer. This may be speaking to how the human body was designed to function. And nonetheless, the writers of this Proverbs chapter 3 understood this and the importance of this. And I'm curious to hear how anybody might interpret this in another way. What might this mean to you without the little story that I've told? Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and do have a blessed day. Please like, comment, and subscribe.